Bob Chapman is our guest, theinternationalforecaster.com. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. We've got the two new trailers we premiered last hour for Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA, and a sneak peek, and the Invisible Empire trailer, the best yet, up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now throughout the weekend. If you're listening to rebroadcast, be sure and check it out as we expose these criminals and destroy their credibility, which is key to getting our country back. As our founding fathers did for more than a decade before we took the nation back, it was an info war. Bob Chapman, speaking of info war, militias are incredibly infiltrated. We support the militia. It's constitutional. But I've noticed that Fed-run militias always attack me when I warn other militias they're being set up. I warned Hatari in August of last year and got attacked for it, saying they're getting ready to set you up. Out of 400 militias that are public, I called it right because I could see what was happening. Explain to people going into this month of April your take on how they're going to try to provocateur, or if you agree with me.
I agree with you, and they've used this for years. I mean, you can go back into the 1960s with the Minutemen. I mean, how many people have even heard of the Minutemen? It was a very large, strong organization throughout the United States, sort of a more militant type of pro-American patriot movement than the John Birch Society was, which is more into education. And they infiltrated like mad, and it happened at every level. And so you had to be very careful what you said and what you did. And they're still doing it today. I mean, I had people from the federal government try to plant grenades in my garage. Now, fortunately, I caught them, and I told them if they came back, I'd kill them. And fortunately, they didn't come back. And I put up with this sort of thing for years.
Bob,
so you've got to be very careful who you're dealing with.
Bob, I learned this 14 years ago when I would warn militia people or catch fake militias lying about me, that the Fed-run militias, when you warn other militias, they attack you, and you're not supposed to warn militias about infiltration. That is 2 + 2 = 4. Anybody attacking me for warning militias and saying I'm attacking militias and telling lies, obviously they are super suspect. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And I've seen it. I've gone through it. I've had people for government go to people who I knew very well and threaten to put them in jail unless they set me up. And they would say to and this happened several times, that you don't scare me, he does. And they went away and didn't come back.
Why do you think out of so many people they got a particular, well, you know the word for you?
Because I work with the government, they train me, they figure they own me. That's the psychological profile of these people. How dare he go off and tell people the truth about what we're doing? He's supposed to do what we're doing.
How long off and on did you work for different intelligence agencies?
About 5 years. And I'll tell you something very interesting, and I won't tell you who the character is, but everybody knows him. I met him one time, I went in his office, and they wanted to do a business deal, and I flew into where he was outside Washington, and he was reading my file from the Central Intelligence Agency. And I said, well, gee, you must know all about me by now, because I hadn't known him before. And he said, yeah. He said, you should be working with us. And I said, oh, really? I said, I just finished reading the book Compromised. Have you read it? And he said, well, I don't want to talk about that. Let's just talk about business. And so these people around and in government, some in the military.
Stay there. Got a break. Stay there. So, Bob Chapman, I can't say on air what TV network the person works for that you were just mentioning, can I?
I don't think you should. They know. They monitor all these programs. They just get more mad and try to figure out what to do about it. But these people aren't going to go away, and we're not going to go away either. And we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing, which is waking people up to the truth. And it'll all fall in place. And if we don't do a good enough job, he'll step in, the Lord, and he'll help us, just like you said earlier. So let's just keep on doing what we're doing. But you're going to help us out there, especially help people like the gentleman and his wife who were just on here. It's incredible what they're going through. And I'm sure these sort of things are going on throughout the country. And we can't have that.
I see reports every day that dwarf even that. It's just, I know these people. It's happening all around us. For the average person in government, though, who's even involved in corruption, they're compartmentalized. They don't get the big picture. They haven't studied it. I mean, now the government's openly announcing every week they're going to start taking pension funds. I mean, that's now what the good guys do, and they're going to use Homeland Security to make sure it happens. I mean, this is pure evil. They've thrown their lot in with pure evil. It's not too late for a lot of these guys that work for the evil to make the decision to join the Patriots.
An exit. And, you know, that's where they get them. They need to make a living, and, of course, the economy's terrible. And if you leave your post, where are you going to work? They're not even hiring garbage collectors. It's bad out there, and it's going to get a lot worse. And so these people, a lot of them are trapped. They say, well, I don't want to do that. Well, if you don't, you're out of here. You're just like the policeman. They say, look, you're going to write 40 tickets a month. And that's the end of it. If you don't, you know, you're going to either be demoted or we're going to replace you.
And then they lie about it and say there aren't quotas, but now they admit there's quotas.
Finally, after, 100 years? Some states are really dreadful. And I got a letter today from someone who lived in New Jersey, and he said, it's incredible. I mean, they need to raise revenue so badly that it doesn't matter whether you break the law, infractions. They're going to pull you over anyway because they need the money.
Well, that's what Robin Hood went through, and that's what all of our ancestors, regardless of what color you are, where you came from, this is the old fight. You get corrupt government, it gets filled with criminals, they start robbing everybody, and there's no doubt we've got a really bad brand of tyranny taking over the West. But the people are waking up. Dr. Frederick Whitehurst thinks things are better now than they were a decade ago. We just now know things are bad, so it seems like it's worse. He thinks the tide is starting to turn. Do you agree?
Don't know. I hope he's right, but I never do things on hope. I always try to deal with the cold, hard facts that I can see and what I might be able to back into, knowing the only way you can understand these people, particularly at the upper levels, is understanding the very sophisticated criminal mind. And if you can understand where the next thing that this criminal's going to do, you can stop them. And we know what they're going to do, the invisible government. Right there. You've got it right there in the DVD. That's what we're going to get out to people so they can better understand what they're dealing with. People in $4,000 suits running around robbing the world.
Do you agree that they're going to stage events very, very soon to be blamed on the Tea Party?
Yes, and it just won't be the Tea Party. It'll be all over the place. And they don't have to be major events. They can be small ones. They want to keep people's minds in turmoil. That's why they create these wars. People don't worry about economics and finance if they think their three boys who are over in Afghanistan, Iraq, and, say, Haiti are going to get killed tomorrow morning. They're more concerned about that, and that's why they have these wars. Of course, they want to get rid of people, too.
And they want to destroy the economy so that everybody's too busy trying to pay the rent and pay the car payment and the insurance payment or fighting off the CPS to stand up against corruption. Bob, thanks for spending time with us. TheInternationalForecaster.com. We'll see you again next Friday. God bless you.
You got it. Thank you all for listening.
You bet. Dan Winters coming up.